Hello, this is Stacy from Stacy Rabbit Jewelry. Today I am here with these brand new velvet beads from John Bead, and they are super cool. They have a great smooth matte finish, and they come in these wild and crazy colors that remind me of the 80s. I am going to show you how to make these wire wrapped earrings on this frame. I affectionately have been calling these my Marvin the Martian earrings. They are made with the 4mm version of these beads along with a few of the drops. To make these earrings, you're going to need some of the 4mm velvet beads and 3 of the drop beads. I am also using this triangle frame that also comes from John Bead. And of course, you will need some ear wires. I did all of my wire work with 26 gauge wire. And yes, I'm not using German style wire for those of you that know me. I find that 26 gauge and 24 gauge, I don't notice a difference between craft wire and German style wire. I personally find it easiest to wrap on a frame with 26 gauge wire. So the first thing I did was cut a long piece of the 26 gauge wire. It is possible to add more wire when you're wrapping on a frame, but it's a major pain in the butt. So I choose to use a longer piece and try not to have to go down that path. So to start wire wrapping on a frame, what I do is I bring my wire in and I leave maybe about a 1/2 inch tail. And I just wrap it around the frame. So one of the things that for a while will be a little bit annoying is you will have this long tail that you have to pull through. But I still think that's a better alternative to adding wire. So I make 3 wraps around my frame. And you can see here that they are not even lined up. And so what I do is I just come in and squeeze those together with a chain nose pliers and scooch them up to the top. What you're gonna do is just send this little tail around to the back side, and I'll just leave it there and you can cut it off later. So now to the fun part, we're gonna add a bead. I'm gonna start with one of the green Marvin Martian colored beads. So I just strung 1 bead onto my wire and I bring it down to the frame. And I hold the bead in place with my hand, hence you can't even see the little bead. And I take the wire and wrap it around the back while holding the bead in place and wrap it pretty tightly. I'm gonna go ahead and make 3 wraps around the frame before adding my next bead. The reason I'm choosing to use 3 is that helps to provide the spacing so that the beads are able to sit next to each other, but not on top of each other. So I'm gonna just go ahead and do those other 2 wraps instead of talking about them. So that's number 2, number 3, and then I bring my wire up and get it ready for the next bead. I like my wraps to be all, neat and look like a little coil. So I just come in with my chain nose pliers and squeeze them together. So I added another bead on here right up against the frame, and I'm gonna do exactly the same thing and wrap that bead and then put 3 wraps after it. So I was able to fit 5 beads on the long side of the triangle. And when I got to my 5th bead, I did the following. I put the bead on, and wrapped around the frame while holding my bead. And I did 2 wraps. And after the second wrap, I came in and changed direction to move onto the small side of the triangle. So I just bent it basically at a 90-degree to start coming this direction. After I've completed the first wrap, we're going to do something slightly different. I have a round nose pliers that we are going to bring in, and we are just going to wrap our wire around that round nose pliers to create a loop. And this loop is going to be used to hang our little dangles. So after you create that loop, you are going to go back to exactly what you were doing before. And if you pull too hard like I did, you can just pop your loop back out, create your third wrap. And then you're going to continue to add 2 more beads, just as we had been doing before. I am going to share a little tip. So my wire has some little kinks and things that are starting to get in the way. And this here is a nylon jaw pliers. It is one of my favorite tools, and it is great when you're working with wire because you can just come in and smooth out some of the kinks in the wire and prevent it from getting tangled. So we came to the edge here of the bottom, and I was able to add 4 beads. And I did the same exact thing, did 2 wraps, and then changed direction and added a bead. And I'm going to continue wrapping along this side here until I get to the end and add 5 beads total. After we have added our 5 beads, we're going to finish this off. And so all we're going to do is create 3 wraps here. So that's 1, 2, 3. And then we are going to leave the wire on the back here and just trim it off. And we're going to do the same thing on the wire from the start. We're just going to trim it on the back and flatten it down onto the frame. So I'm just going to come in with my chain nose pliers and just flatten those out. The other thing that you can do is you can kind of adjust the spacing on your beads and, shape it a little bit, just like this. So we have completed our wire wrapped frame. To create our dangles, we are going to do a briolette wrap on one of these little drops. I'm actually just using the leftover 26 gauge wire to do my wraps, but I usually find 24 gauge to be easier. So what you do is you put your dangle into the middle of the wire and bend both sides of the wire up to create a little triangle. Then you are going to come in with your chain nose pliers, and one of the wires you're going to bend so it sticks straight up. And then the other wire you're going to come in and bend so it goes straight across and makes a 90-degree angle. The wire that's coming out across here, you're basically going to go and bend to create your wraps. And I'm just going to go with some messy wraps here. So once you have it wrapped to your satisfaction, we're going to take care of this top piece and use it to make a loop. So I am going to bend that at a 90-degree angle, grab my chain nose pliers, and just come in and make a loop around my pliers. I am choosing, because this is 26 gauge wire, to actually wire wrap the top on this. You could do a simple loop, but I worry a little bit because 26 gauge wire is pretty bendable, that it might fall off on you if it gets yanked. So I am just going to come in and do a couple wraps. So you're just going to go ahead and do the same thing and make 3 wrapped drops. You can make more, you can make less. I attached my drops to my design using the loop at the bottom and 6mm jump rings. So I am just going to open the jump ring using 2 chain nose pliers. I am going to pop it through my loop. And then add on my 2 blue drops and close my jump ring. It's a little tricky to get in here with all these beads in the way, but just take it slowly. And so we've got our 2 drops on there. And we're just going to repeat the same thing with our last drop. So again, I've got a 6mm jump ring. I'm going to open it. I am going to attach that to the other 6mm jump ring in between my 2 blue drops. And then I'm going to come in and sneak on my green drop and close up my jump ring. Thank you for joining me to make these fun 80s inspired earrings using the John Bead velvet beads.